In Rock Island Auction Company's upcoming May 2025 premier firearms auction, we have a truly extraordinary and exceedingly rare flintlock firearm from Nicolas Noel Boutet in the Versailles Manufactory. This impressive swivel breech flintlock carbine. This gun is decorated all the way from the muzzle to the heel with extensive gold inlays, engraving, carving, all kinds of fine details we're going to go over here in a second. But just take a good look at the gun overall and you can see that this is something truly exceptional. This gun dates to right around 1805 while Napoleon is taking over much of Europe. And Boutet and the Versailles Manufactory's incredible artisans were turning out exceptional presentation pieces like this carbine for presentation by Napoleon to his officers as well as other world leaders. Very, very, very few of these turnover carbines were actually produced. Most of the known examples are contained behind museum glass in institutional collections in Europe. One of the few known examples was actually presented to Tsar Nicholas I of Russia. So that kind of gives you an idea of just how important the individuals that were receiving these fine presentation guns were. Let's take a look at some of the finer details on this piece. So we've got 23¼ inch swamped octagonal barrels that are very finely rifled, more like the French dueling pistols of the era. And the bores measure about 38 bore, which is just under 50 caliber. Both barrels have a silver blade front sight. And what's really cool is if you look at the muzzle sections here of the barrels around the front sights, you've got this geometric design followed by like clouds and burst patterns, which is really cool because if you think about the explosion coming out of the front of the barrel and the flash coming out, that kind of mirrors it going backwards. And then as you come down along the barrel, you've got all of these intricately inlaid stars that cover this huge section along with some fine detailing on the borders. And then when you get back to the breech section, much like the muzzle sections, you've got these panels of gold inlays with engraving and geometric and floral and kind of scroll designs covering this whole breech section of the barrels. Now, you might be asking, how does this gun work? If you're not familiar with turnovers, let me show you. We're going to bring the cock back to half cock and close the priming pan. Now, there's no visible button on this example. Instead, what you do is you push up on the trigger guard just slightly, and then the barrels will rotate. And if I flip it over, you can see there's this little arm that sticks out from the side of the trigger guard that prevents the under barrel from getting tipped open. So the pan can't open and dump your powder out while your barrel is upside down. So it's a really neat detail on some of the American turnovers. There'll be a button off to the side here, or there'll be a more obvious button. But on this really high-end French gun, they've concealed that entire mechanism into this section of the gun. So you can barely even tell there's anything to activate. You just slightly touch it, boom, it's smooth and rotates over very easily. Because the barrels swivel, there's a really interesting detail when you look right here at the breech. The dished rear sight is actually split between the breech plugs and the standing breech. So as you rotate, it comes back in alignment with this. That allows a nice open arrangement for lining up with that blade front sight on each barrel, which would make target acquisition nice and quick when using this gun as a sporting carbine. Because this is a swivel breech mechanism, we have a priming pan and frizzen for each barrel situated on the side that rotate with the barrels. If you flip open this frizzen and take a look at the pans are gold lined and they line up right here with the gold lined vents. Continuing on past the barrels, there's all kinds of intricate details everywhere you look on this gun. Up here on the upper tang, there's some very small vignettes showing animals. If you look at the lock, there's a beautifully detailed scene here as well. And then on the other side of the gun, we've got another beautiful scene. And I would assume that these are drawn out of natural history texts from the time period. We've seen those on some of the other Versailles Manufactory firearms. You've got a nice dog here on the ramrod entry pipe, and then you have a false ramrod entry pipe on the other side, which has another detailed scene. And then that continues all along all of the mounts. If you look at the trigger guard bow, you've got another finely detailed scene. If you take a look over here at the heel, you've got more. It's like everywhere you look, you see a different detail, and they're not repeating the same designs over and over again. They're different scenes, different details, all done very, very, very finely. As we've been looking over this fine gun, you may have noticed there are no visible maker's marks. Often you'd find those in the lock and on the barrels. On this piece, you can just take a look at it and presume it came from the Versailles manufactory. But if you were to remove the barrels, you will find the maker's marks on the underside for Boutet and the Versailles manufactory. And then if you take a look back here, we've got a gold inlaid wrist escutcheon with the initials SB for the original owner. And then the stock, just like all of the metalwork, is incredibly ornate. You've got really high quality walnut panels for the barrels, and then the buttstock has just really, really nice carving and architecture. You've got these finely detailed borders around the upper tang and lower tang, around the locks, down around these like kind of shallow cheek piece shapings on the butt that terminate in these beautiful rosettes. I mean, just so many fine details. But one of the ones I really, really love is this highly detailed contrasting inlay here at the base of the wrist. If you look at it, it's got scrollwork designs and it's got this kind of monstrous mask. But if you look at it closely, this mask looks like a rooster, which is, of course, one of the emblems of the French people. Everywhere you look on this incredible turnover carbine, you find more details. I feel like every time I've looked at it, I see something different that catches my eye. Like just right now, as I roll this in this different lighting, the engraving stands out beautifully. And that allows me to see like all these finely detailed individual motifs that are decorating this gun. So just even going down the neck of the cock here, you've got different floral patterns changing as you come down. Instead of just repeating one easier pattern, they made it even more complicated by doing all of these different patterns. And that's something that really stands out about the Versailles manufactory and Boutet's work, is just they didn't repeat the same stuff over and over again. They used different designs, they mixed it up, and each one is truly a work of art that stands the test of time. And that's why these carbines and other pieces from Boutet remain among the most desirable firearms in collections around the world. And this one is truly special. As I mentioned before, we've had some other pieces by Boutet in the past for sure, but these swivel breech carbines are almost unheard of. You barely ever get a chance to see them, but this is the kind of thing Rock Island Auction Company does. We bring beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces to market. If you come down to Bedford, Texas, this May, you'll get the opportunity to see this gun in person, along with tons of other beautiful and historic firearms across a wide array of genres. It's an experience you will get nowhere else but Rock Island Auction Company, and I would highly encourage you to take a closer look at this beautiful turnover carbine.